Hello YouTube, how you doing? What's going on? Where you at? What you doing? How's everybody doing? Yo, next Friday is September 1st. That quick. Or next Thursday. One of them. But yeah, next week is September 1st, y'all. That fast. Next week is Labor Day weekend. I hope y'all have plans. I'll probably go somewhere last minute, whatever. Just celebrated the annual block party at my father's church. It was my father's birthday. He is 67. That's such a long time from now for me, and I always think about the world is so crazy, and I'm only 34, so imagine 20 years from now. It's just it's gonna be it's getting crazier. It's like baby boomers, they was born at the right time, and now they able to retire and enjoy it a little bit. But by the time we get old, I don't even want to think about it, because this world going to hell. The whole like everything that's going on right now. I don't know if y'all watch the news, but they saying something about California. They trying to force people for their kids to go to trans classes, and if the parents say no, it's gonna be an ACS case. Like, this country is going to hell. Like, for real. Like, it's so scary, and you could raise your child the best way you can, but all of these outside influences, it really get to them. The media, you got Barbie, you got all these, Beyonce with the trans tour. You got all these entities where gay is the new straight, and by no means am I bashing anyone to be gay, but it's one thing to be gay, and it's totally different to be trans. Like, that's on another level. And now they're trying to force it on our kids. Like, leave the kids out of it. That's where I draw the line. It's crazy. It needs to be protests. Right now they doing a protest in Queens for the people to not come into the borders. Everybody's an immigrant, so I don't know what that's about. If you're a Trump supporter, just say that. Like, basically tell me you're a Trump supporter without saying you're a Trump supporter. And so many people, even Black Americans, they like, oh, da da da. It's like, immigrants is what makes America. It's what makes America great. So why hate on them? Yes, us as Black Americans, we built this country, but the immigrants is what makes it, it's what makes America. Everybody's an immigrant. None of us is from here. Even the Native Americans, they came from where they came from and came to America. Nobody's from America. America is too young of a country to be from it. So yeah. But what I wanted to talk about today is a good topic. It was two good topics I seen on Instagram. So one of them was about posting your significant other, and then the other one was a girl. She was an Indian girl, but she talked like a Black girl, and she's like, she been spoiled all her life. But the way she was talking, it didn't even sound like being spoiled. That's just basic stuff. She was like, oh, you don't even want to come pick me up. If you have a car and the person that you're going out on a date with don't, common sense, yeah, you should go pick them up. She was like, oh, getting picked up. I'm like, that's basic. But what I wanted to ask, the question is, how a woman is expected to get treated. Does that have to do with environment or the way her father raised her? And I'm gonna give y'all several scenarios. So when I was growing up, and I was just thinking about this, my recent situation, that's what makes me a strong woman, because I always compare it to my father. Like, when I was growing up as a little girl, my father always took me out to the movies, to dinners. And he probably don't even realize it, but he literally set the standard with how I should be treated. Now, him and my mom weren't very romantic. growing up. I think with most married couples, you don't really see that romance growing up with married parents. You don't. And so somebody made a comment like, oh, most of these men that don't know how to treat a woman, they come from single parent households. It really depends, because like my son, I didn't see how much he was looking up to me. He watched how I was treated and he emulates that. And I remember he was going all out for a girl, spent $20 worth of candy on a girl for Valentine's Day. And I was like, well, why are you spending so much on her? He was like, but your boyfriends, they spend money on you for Valentine's Day, Ma. And I said, yeah, you're right. But he literally watched how I was treated and he emulates that. So though I'm not married, he at least has I guess a guide or a textbook to how he should treat a woman. And I pride myself for that. Even though I'm not with them now, a lot of people say, oh, you're not supposed to have dudes around your child. No. So how are they going to learn how to be in a relationship, in a functional relationship? Like, I never argued around my son. He never seen that around. But unfortunately, with his father, he's seen a lot of negativity, unfortunately. And I tell him, don't copy that. That's not how. And his father also grew up in a 2-parent household, but he don't know how to treat women at all. So when people say stuff like that, just because somebody grew up in a single parent household, that don't mean that they don't know how to treat a woman. It depends on what they saw in that household. Just because a woman is married, you got women that's married, and since they got married, they haven't been on a date. The people literally stop dating when they get married. Most married people. Why? I don't really know. Because if you truly love someone, the romance don't stop. It shouldn't you just stop going out. Like, no, you should continue that. Okay, maybe you can't go out all the time, but you can go out sometimes. You can go out for Valentine's Day at least, Like, also my mom, she grew up in a single parent household. My grandmother and my grandfather, they split. My grandma left him in Detroit. When she was pregnant with my mother, she moved to Queens with her sisters, and she raised my uncle and my mother as a single parent. She never had no dudes around them. She never dated. So my mom didn't have no guide to teach her. But what she did know is she wanted to get married and stay married. She didn't want to end up like my grandmother, just alone. My grandmother didn't even date nobody after my grandpa. She was just by herself. To each their own, But it's important, like people say, oh, don't bring nobody around, your kids. But no, your kids need to see you properly loved, ladies, whether you be married or single. Even though me and my partners, I let my son around 2 men. I think I told y'all. And it was my Army ex from 2017. We was together about 9 months. And my recent ex, we were off and on for 3 years. And but both relationships, my son saw me being loved. He saw the teddy bears, the flowers. He saw the effort. You got single mothers, unfortunately, they let men live with them and they not paying no bills, and they see their mom being used by bums. So then they grow up and be bums. They might be successful with a career and everything else, but when a child sees that, they think that that's okay. My son never saw that. I would never allow that. That's low self-esteem to let some man live with you and you paying all the bills. That's something that I would never allow, personally. But yeah, children copy what they see, or sometimes what they don't see. My mom never saw my grandmother being loved by a man, but she made up in her mind, hey, I'm gonna have a man who provides for me. I'm gonna get married and stay married. So even though my parents, whatever, at least they still married. And my mom was determined about that, you know. So, yeah. So a lot of people say, oh, you know, these men that they come in, you know, you got men who come from, their grandmothers raised them and they know how to treat women, because that's just their character. Nobody sat them down and taught them how to treat a woman, but they just kind of figured it out, you know. Like with me, you know, everybody's human. Everybody, I would say, sometimes you allow bullshit to happen in your life, but then when you sit down and think, you know, would my father be okay with this? And then the answer is no. Plus, also, you get used to getting treated a certain way. People date what's available to them. I can't stress this enough, because this is something that people don't want to admit. But in all actuality, everybody, basically, they allow what's available to them. So it's not that people want to be with bums or whatever. That's what's available to them, and that's what they get with. No woman in her right mind is going to get with a bum over a good guy. If that good guy is available to her, trust me, she'll take it over the bum. You know, like with me, I'm used to a certain type of a man. I'm used to a certain type of treatment. So every now and again, I might fall on my face and backslide to something that I'm not used to. But at a certain point, I wake the fuck up. Like, hold on, this is not what I'm used to, you know. And I know not to bring that individual around my son, because if you ain't treat me right in the beginning stages, then I already know, you know. So yes, it's important for your children to watch you be loved, so they can grow up and know how to love on a woman. Very important. And you know, you have dudes that come from 2-parent households, but they've never seen their mother be properly loved or taken care of. You know, you got married couples, Valentine's Day is just another day. That's not good. Or the birthday, you know, it's the wife's birthday or the husband's birthday. They don't even do anything together. That's horrible. That's terrible. You know? So, like my son is only 14, but he has an idea of how to treat women because he's seen how my men have treated me. And he said it. He's like, oh yeah, da-da-da. Okay. And he said it. He's like, y'all love each other. And I'm glad my son watched me love a man and a man love me back. Was our relationship perfect? No. But I pride myself for that, because he saw love in my home. He never saw drama. He never saw me crying over no nigga. Hello. He never saw me crying over no nigga. He never see me yelling and screaming over no nigga. He ain't never seen me argue with no nigga. And I was determined, like, I'm not going to raise my child in mess. I was determined that my son will grow up in a loving household. They never lived with me, but when they was with me for days at a time, the dynamics he saw were positive. He saw a man cooking. And so I didn't even realize he looked up to my last boyfriend so much, to now he makes pancakes. He literally like took over. He's like, I miss when, you know, he used to make pancakes. He used to make pancakes on the weekend and stuff, burgers, and my son literally, he took after that. So he knows how to treat a woman based upon what he saw, you know. But yes, to all my moms out there, period, whether if you single, dating, and you bring guys around, don't let people tell you, oh, don't bring no guys around your kids. No, bring them around your kids, because how your kids gonna know how to treat somebody in a relationship? They need to see some type of example, right? Make sure you're selective, however. Make sure you get to know the person. Like my last ex, he didn't meet my son until 9 months into the relationship, right? So I definitely took my time and everything. And yeah, you know, Your kids have to see that. Your kids need to see positivity. You have so many men that don't want to be in a relationship, that don't want to be married because of what they saw in their childhood, and they don't even realize it. They saw their mom get beat. They saw their mom get used for money. They saw their mom go through so much, or they saw their mom using a man, so they don't want that either. Parents, be careful of what you do around your kids, because your kids, they grow up into adults and they remember, right? I'm very highly sensitive to certain and people who know me, they know this about me. So I'm very sensitive when it comes to voice tone and name calling, because that's what I saw in my household, and I told myself I'm not gonna allow it. Not me. So even if I think you're disrespecting me, I'm going off on you. And some people might be like, dang, Crystal, why you so rah-rah? Because I seen it in my household, and I'm not going to let no man disrespect me. Like, I'm ready to fight. Like, I'm ready to... So, yes, I admit I have triggers with that, because I saw the dysfunction in my household, and I'm not going to allow that. Period. So, yes, our childhood traumas, what we saw in our childhood, a lot of us, we changed the trajectory. Like me, I'm total opposite of what I saw in my household. Not just because I'm not married, but it's certain things about a man that I'm not going to tolerate, right? And then the positive things that my father did, I hold on to. That's what you're supposed to do. And those are my thoughts.